Hello and welcome to this episode of the Online Course Creator Show. I'm so glad to have you here today. I can't believe this is episode 99. When I started this podcast, my goal was to simply get to 100 episodes. And when I started, that goal seemed so far away. And just to be here on my last episode before I hit that, amazing. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you so much for listening to the show with me, no matter how long you've been listening, whether this is your first episode or maybe you have been listening since the start. I know that some people still go through from episode 1, and that's a lot of content to get through. And that amazes me. And, one of the reasons why I have enjoyed this podcast so much. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to this podcast in the future, but all I know for now is that I am continuing on with it. And in the next few weeks, I'm actually going to be bringing out some more like broad content, so not so focused on launching. So definitely stay tuned for that. We also have the masterclass coming up, which I would really love for you to join because I'm going to be sharing so much information on there about how to create a money-making course or program in 2025. So if you're interested in that, this podcast is going live on a Saturday and the first masterclass is happening on Tuesday. So go to loublakely.com/masterclass. Now there are a few sessions, so no matter where you are in the world, there should be a time to suit you. And I will also be sending out replays. So head over to loublakely.com/masterclass to save your seat. Now today's episode is about mindset, and I haven't actually done a mindset episode for a while, and I thought it was time to do one because mindset is just a vital part of launching. There's no two ways about it. And even with the best laid plans, a wobbly mindset can really come along and cause mayhem in a launch. So it's important to spend some time on it. And I definitely am of the thinking that our mindset is something that we need to invest in each and every day, no matter what stage of business we're at, no matter whether we are in a growth phase or just kind of cruising along. Mindset things can come up and creep up. And if we're not on top of them and we're not paying attention to them, they can really sabotage all those best laid plans. So I'm a firm believer in mindset. Also, I wanted to share this because we're in May now. I've shared this episode on mindset because we're in May now of 2025. So hopefully we're at that point in the year when, we've been through the start of the year where we've got all these plans, but now it's time to actually start making them come to fruition because May is, like almost halfway through the year. And if we're not starting to make momentum or starting to get momentum at this point, then are we really going to get there? So we're in May now. Some of you hopefully have already launched, or you are now moving into those best laid plans that you set at the start of the year about this is going to be the year to launch your product. So hopefully you are actually ready to go into your first launch or your next launch. You're getting ready to launch, which means it's time to put those words, those wishes, those dreams into action. And this is when the mindset stuff really comes out to play. Because what happens when we're sitting there doing nothing, not taking action? Mindset, sure, it's there because that's usually the thing that's also holding you back and stopping you from taking action. But you also don't get to maybe experience different states and have different mindset things pop up and limiting beliefs that you haven't actually had come up before. These may stay hidden when you're not taking action because you're actually playing it safe. But when we start taking action, this is when we really have to face them head on. And this is what I want to speak to today. So the episode is called 3 Mindset Shifts to Help You Crush Your Launch. And it's really about how we can create those reframes. And when you're launching, I've been doing this for a long time, right? And I really started to see the mindset issues that popped up as a result of launching. And I have seen these same mindset issues pop up again and again and again. So as someone who is growing, who is putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and doing things that maybe you're a little bit scared to do, a really super effective thing that you can start doing in terms of mindset is actually learning how to act as your own life coach. Now, the idea of this requires a couple of things. Firstly, you need to have awareness of what actually is the issue for you. So you need to be noticing what's coming up. So if you're feeling really stuck and unable to move forward, start noticing it and asking yourself, what's really going on here. Instead of just like having this unconscious stream of thoughts running through our head, which all of us do, half the time we're not even aware of what these are. Like, we're not actually taking the time to think, hey, hold up, your brain just told you that you can't do this because you're not as experienced as the next person. And actually, who even said that you're qualified to do this? Like, that's just one example, right? And that's a really common one, actually. But these are the thoughts that can be running through your head. And if you're not saying, hey, what was that? What actually was that thought, and where did that come from? And why is that coming up now? So that is what I mean by awareness. So actually being able to stop the chatter and be like, I just had that thought. That's kind of weird. Okay, let's dive into that. Because if you don't kind of catch those thoughts when they come up, you're not even aware of them. So we need to become aware of them first. And it is really good to try and figure out where they're coming from and why you might be experiencing them. I mean, a lot of them do come from fear and putting ourselves in a situation that we've just never been in before. So journaling can actually be a really good tool here. It can really help. And it's definitely worth just spending a few minutes examining it. Most of the time, these thoughts are just straight up rubbish. They're like our fear brain just piling this stuff through our brain. If we're not careful, these thoughts can actually become our core beliefs. So I want you to become aware, stop those thoughts and actually think, okay, I just thought that. Identify what that thought is, write it down, cross it out, and replace it with something more effective. Now, this is a mindset practice, and this is actually being your own coach, which is something that you will absolutely need to lean on to reach your goals in business. Now, the second thing that you absolutely need is to take action. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that you've got to take action to get the wins. But sometimes you just have to take any action. You just need to start taking small steps towards the thing that you want. And when you start doing that, you're going to start to develop the awareness of what these beliefs, these thoughts are, and that's going to help you identify them and shift them so that you can move forward with more purpose. But I know that it can be tempting to stay frozen and not move forward, but nothing good happens from that, and you feel like you're keeping yourself safe, but you're actually making things worse for yourself. So move forward even with small steps. Be curious about the process, about what comes up in terms of mindset, and use the awareness that you gain to then dive deeper and work on changing those thoughts. So I'm going to share with you 3 mindset shifts that are definitely useful as you move through a launch and you can lean on for support. Okay, and then you can come back to these again and again, and it all comes from action, right? Like, you may feel like these thoughts get louder as you start to move forward, and that's when you really need to center yourself. As I said, I'm a real big fan of having a daily mindset practice, and I think this is imperative during a live launch, that you have some time every single day of a live launch to work on your mindset, even if it's just 15 minutes. And this is why I have actually included mindset in every single module of Moneymakers, because the same things do come up for most people. So the resources are there for mindset in every single module. Okay, so the first one is this thought that you have of you're putting something out there and your thought is, oh my God, I really hope that people like this. I hope that they buy it. I hope that people are going to sign up for it. And I really hope that this launch is going to be successful. So it's that thought of like the control of that is outside of ourselves. And sure, it is to a point. However, do you realize how much more powerful you're going to be in a launch if you switch that to, I am going to show people why they need this, why it's a must-have, and what it's going to do for them. So you go from that passive, you're not in control side of things with that, I hope they like it, to a really powerful position of actual leadership, of conviction. And it brings out this energy. Like, I'm doing this regardless. Do you want to jump in and come along for the journey? If not, that's okay, but I'm doing it anyway because I know it's the right thing to do and I trust myself and I know that it's going to help a lot of people, even if it's imperfect, right? So committing to this way of thinking, it means that you're going to be able to communicate with people the value, and you're going to show up with that conviction to back yourself, to be prepared to actually show up and share with people exactly why they need to jump in. And that's going to be felt by them, right? Because people are going to need to hear from you multiple times as well. So you need to be practicing this daily. every single day you need to recenter yourself and be prepared to step back into this energy, because a lot of people are not going to sign up from hearing from you once. You need to be talking about your offer every single day that the doors are open to your course, okay? And they are going to be sensing over that time, they're going to be sensing what your energy is, and they're going to be sensing if you have conviction in what you're saying. And they are also going to be sensing if you are showing up as a leader or in that more passive energy, like, please sign up. That's not appealing to anyone. Okay, so trust yourself. Trust the launching process. And if you need to learn the launching process, then I highly recommend you jump into Moneymakers, which is opening very soon. And I want you to commit to the process, because even committing to the process and saying, hey, I'm showing up, I'm doing this thing, are you in for the ride or not? Because even that, just making that decision is a clear signal to the world and your industry by saying, I'm here, I've got something to share, I'd love for you to join me. It's amazing, and this is what it's going to get you. Okay, so I feel like that is a really imperative mindset shift that you can make every single day of your launch. Now, the second mindset shift that I want to share with you. Okay, so this is like relating to imposter syndrome, which I think everyone has experienced this in some way, shape, or form. So this belief that commonly comes up is, there are so many people in my industry already doing this. Why am I different? Or it could also show up as, I'm not enough of an expert. I'm not good enough, really. Like, who am I to show up and talk about this stuff? This is imposter syndrome at its finest. And everyone has experienced this. And I do believe that people do continue to experience it. So I think that having a way to manage it is key. And this is where the mindset stuff comes in. So you can shift that to belief to, I have a unique way of doing things that only I can offer. And it's going to be fun to contribute to my industry in this way. I learned particularly about this contribution piece from Denise Duffield-Thomas, who is a money mindset coach. She's someone that I've followed for a very long time. And I've heard her speak about this quite a few times. And I think it is such a powerful mindset shift to being like, I don't have to be the top dog. I don't have to be a guru. I actually get to be here as a contributor to my industry. And the funny thing is, when you actually show up and contribute, by and large, you do actually become an industry leader because of that. So I think that's a really positive mindset shift. It is achievable for all of us, and it can really help you get out of your own way and make you understand in the day-to-day that you don't have to be the person that knew it all about everything, okay? You don't need to be the number one. You can just be showing up and sharing your knowledge and contributing. Now, the third mindset shift is when we have that feeling of, what if I show up and I put in this effort and I don't get the numbers that I'm hoping for? This is 100% a mindset issue, and it's based on fear. So the thing about this one is that it can really trigger a cycle of self-sabotage. So if you don't really try and it doesn't really work, then you can say to yourself, hey, I didn't really give it 100%. And just knowing that can make you feel so much better when you don't get the results that you wanted. But if this thought is leading the way, then why would you sing about your launch event from the rooftops? Instead, you're going to hide and keep yourself safe, which is completely self-sabotaging your chances of making this a success. So how about if you shifted this to a belief that works a lot better for you? Because that thought process of running through the back of your head of, what if I show up and don't get the numbers I'm hoping for, like that kind of is posed as a genuine concern, but it's not helping you at all. You're just going to stay stuck if that is the thought that is running through your head. You're going to hide and you're going to keep yourself safe. So the belief that could work better for you, and I'm actually going to offer you two, and you could choose the one that you find most appealing or most relatable, that you would find most believable. The first one is, hey, I'm going to choose to audaciously back myself as though I have already made it. I'm going to show up with full belief in myself and be willing to be seen in that full belief of myself, because I know that underneath all the worries and the doubts that I know my stuff, because you're here, you're doing it right. If you didn't, to some degree, think that you knew your stuff, then you wouldn't even be considering launching an online course. So some part of you knows that you are an expert or someone that is worthy of contributing because of the knowledge that you hold. So let's own it. Okay, so that's the first one that I want to offer to you. So the initial belief is, what if I show up and I don't get the numbers I'm hoping for? I want you to switch that and be like, hey, I'm going to audaciously back myself and just see how this goes. I'm going to put everything into it and go for it. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one that you could try on for size is, when I'm launching, I'm learning and I'm unattached to the results. And I personally love this one because it makes it feel like, hey, this is an experiment. This is a test, which ultimately everything is anyway. Okay, everything in life is an experiment, really. It's all just one big game. And maybe you could look at launching as a game where, hey, if I did this, what's going to happen? And that's when we get to unattach ourselves, because it's becomes outside of ourselves. And when you're launching, you are learning. It doesn't matter how your launch is going to go. You're going to walk away with a pile of lessons, even if it's like the best launch that you've ever had. There are always going to be lessons that you gain through taking action. So every time you take an action, especially a big one like committing to a launch, you will learn so much. Launching is learning. You will learn more from one launch than you will from years and years of putting it off. And that learning is so, so valuable. No one can ever take that away from you. You're going to get so much data. You're going to learn so much more about yourself. You're going to learn so much more about your audience. You're going to learn more about your offer and if it's the perfect fit, or you might need to tweak something, but you're never going to get to that point of knowing you need to tweak something if you don't even get to that stage, right? So business is not a one event thing. It's not based on this one launch. So can we just take the pressure off? It's not about one launch. It's not about one problem either. It's a series of these things over the length of your business. And every day you will be learning, you will be experiencing problems, sure, because as we're growing, problems are going to come to the forefront. And we will continuously be finding solutions to those problems. There's no two ways about it. So you can sit there and try and avoid this and say, hey, what if this doesn't work? What if I'm disappointed in advance? Like, sure, but is anything good going to come of that? So you can try and avoid it that way, but you won't get anywhere. You can avoid, you won't get ahead, and you won't hit your potential. So instead, we want to be moving forward, because that's where we're going to actually get clearer and clearer and clearer on what actually works. And it is only when you enter this mindset that you can actually step into a business that can grow exponentially. Because if you're sitting there letting the problems just stop you, then you're not going to actually grow from where you are right now. Instead, you've got to be experiencing the problems, finding the solutions, going through the process of launching and actually learning what comes up, learning how to do it better, learning all of the things. And it is an incredible opportunity in so many ways. So you will gain 100 times more by actually doing it, rather than saying you're going to put it off for another few months or another few years. So if you're going into your first launch soon, or you're going to do another launch soon, and mindset is something that does come up for you, then I recommend that you save this podcast episode somewhere, come back and re-listen to this episode to get you in the right frame of mind to conquer your launch, because being able to show up and fully commit is going to make a huge difference to your sales. Thanks so much for listening. Again, I can't believe this is episode 99, and hopefully I'll see you on the next episode, which is going to be the big episode 100. I'm so grateful for you taking time out to listen, and I really hope this podcast helps you in some way, not just this episode, but the other episodes that you've listened to as well. Thanks for listening. Bye for now. Thanks, course creators and go-getters. You're incredible, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe in your podcast app so you don't miss an episode. If you'd like to find out more about what I offer, head across to loublakely.com. See you next time.